Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother...
Welcome to the party, pal!
Welcome to another edition of Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Podcast. I'm Ralph Quartucci.
And I'm Sean Paul Murphy.
I'm Debbie Murphy.
I'm Michelle Wojciechowski.
I'm Brad Barowie.
I'm John Quartucci.
I'm Drew Gould.
All right. Hey, guys. Okay, we got a good show today. Today's show, I got to bring the movie, and the movie today is Young Frankenstein.
Oh.
Now, and I don't know if you look around, but we have a couple other people here that were not introduced at the beginning, because every time I mention this podcast that we're going to do Young Frankenstein, I have all my 50 to 58 to 60-year-old friends go, I want to be on that podcast, because that was our prime movie when we were growing up. And let's start with, I don't know, I can't point, so I don't know who anybody is, but I'm going to point to the guy with the hat sitting in his room with the clock behind him. Introduce yourself, please.
I'm John Cosenzi, and I'm a friend of Ralph's. Hopefully, after this podcast is over as well.
It's always iffy. It's always iffy. And then I don't know where you are, Michael. Go ahead.
Michael Spedden. My name is Michael Spedden, and I'm thrilled to be here tonight talking about Young Frankenstein. And I'd like to thank Wojo for inviting me.
Excellent. Well, thank her later, maybe. You might want to, you may not be thanking her later. We'll see. All right, so here we go. So yes, Young Frankenstein. I think we all know the plot, but I'll give a slight description about Young Frankenstein. It's about Frederick Fronkensteen, the grandson of Victor Frankenstein, who just doesn't want to buy into the legacy of his grandfather. And through the course of this movie, as much as he was struggling against it, he creates the monster that his father wanted to create. We all know the plot, so I don't have to go through this. I would like to show a trailer at the beginning. See if I can pull this off. It's never easy, but I'm going to try. Wait, before I do that, let's try this.
When you're single, you have to pull
I'm going to cut to the movie cam with the bell. All right, notice it says the following preview. I actually did this with my brother Steve, who made a comment on our podcast that we're beating the preview trailer thing to death. So all good comedy is repetition, so there you go. We're repeating that.
It's coming from the deep, dark recesses of the mind of Mel Brooks. I love him. Young Frankenstein.
Sky means business.
Young Frankenstein.
Oh dear, nothing left. What shall we throw in now?
Starring Gene Wilder as Dr. Frankenstein.
That's Fronkensteen.
But what about your grandfather's work, sir?
My grandfather's work was doo-doo!
Peter Boyle as the monster. Marty Feldman as Igor.
My grandfather used to work for your grandfather.
I'm sure we'll get along splendidly. Oh, sorry.
Cloris Leachman as Frau Blucher.
You played that music in the middle of the night?
Yes!
To get us into the laboratory?
Yes!
And it was you who left my grandfather's book out for me to find?
Yes!
So that I would?
Yes!
Then you and Victor were...
Say it. He was my boyfriend!
Kerry Garr as Inga.
Would you like to have a roll in the hay? Roll, roll, roll in the hay.
Kenneth Mars as the inspector. And Madeline Kahn as Elizabeth.
Where am I?
Calm down.
What are you going to do to me?
I'm not afraid of you. Listen, I have to be back by 11:30. I'm expecting a very important call.
Kill the monster! Storm the castle! And
See Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein.
Yes, I think we could all use a good laugh.
But don't see it alone. Don't miss Young Frankenstein, personally directed by Mel Blazing Saddles Brooks, in black and white. No offense.
That trailer basically gives the whole movie, like all these old trailers did. Now, as a 14-year-old, I remember seeing this movie because I think I went to see Papillon. Papillon got sold out, and I had to find another movie at the Westgate Mall in Brockton, Massachusetts. And Young Frankenstein was playing. Had no clue who Mel Brooks was. I mean, I guess we saw Blazing Saddles came out before this, so I had an idea. But go into this movie and was pissed off when it was black and white. I'm like, what the hell? Come on, a black and white film. And then by the end of it, bought, sold, hook, line, and sinker. Terry Garr, love of my life for the rest of my life. What can I say about this movie that hasn't been said by everybody, including Roger Ebert? Sean, did Roger Ebert see this movie?
Yes, I think Roger Ebert did, or he is pretending he did, or in the past he pretended. May I read a bit?
A partial part of it, I think.
Yes, he gives the film, well, we'll read the beginning. The moment when it comes has the inevitability of comic genius, young Friedrich Frankenstein, grandson of the Count who started it all, returns by rail to his ancestral home. As the train pulls into the station, he spots a kid on the platform, lowers his window and asks, "Pardon me, boy, is this the Transylvania station?" It is, and as Mel Brooks is at home with Young Frankenstein, his most disciplined and visually inventive film, and it also happens to be very funny. He gave it 4 out of 4 stars. This is his original review, not one of these reviews he does later for his great film series, where he likes films that became classics better than he originally did.
Yeah, he always changes his. People realize that they like it. He changes his thing too. Yeah, and that's how I feel about this film. And my brother Steve, who is going to pop on at some point, we actually bought a record album of this film. The dialogue, which was, not just soundtrack, but the dialogue. And we turned that thing over and over and over and over, and just phenomenal. So that's, again, not much I can say except Terry Garr. Gene Wilder was phenomenal in this film. Mel Brooks, it's a very structured film. He's, all the old sets are from the original Frankenstein. He fought for the black and white. He didn't do that for any other reason except it should be in black and white. It's an homage to this film. Let me cut to my second camera. Boom. That film right there.
Bride of Frankenstein.
Right?
You just like showing off your chest.
I do like my chest and my cameras. And the Cloris Leachman part there's a woman in that Bride of Frankenstein that definitely Cloris Leachman was mimicking. Just a home run in my eyes. So I don't want to spend a lot of time commenting on this because we have so many people on. Go ahead.
You didn't mention this was Gene Wilder's idea.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Idea. Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks wrote this, but Gene Wilder's one who came up when they were doing Blazing Saddles. He wrote on a yellow pad the title Young Frankenstein, and he went to Brooks, who originally didn't want to do it, and then because he only directs his own stuff, but then they hashed around the idea a little bit. So Gene Wilder gets a lot of credit for this because some of the scenes that were in this were his ideas, like putting on the Ritz. That was all him. That wasn't Mel Brooks, who didn't want to do it. So just to give credit where credit is due.
No, I mean, I think Gene Wilder, he became Blazing Saddles was great, but this movie kind of catapulted him. But was this before or after Willy Wonka? Anybody know?
This was after. Yeah, this was after. This was 74. So this was after that.
Well,
after Willy Wonka?
Yeah.
The film that really catapulted Gene Wilder was
Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah.
Which was hilarious.
But he was so good in this. His acting was really good in this. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't the typical
they took
Mel Brooks it wasn't typical Mel Brooks. Even though it was kind of parody, it wouldn't have worked if he really parodied it. Mel Brooks said this was his best directed film.
And how do you know that? Did you talk to Mel Brooks?
I Actually, I saw Mel Brooks in Boston. They previewed Blazing Saddles, and he was there. So I spoke to him afterwards and asked him questions about it, Ralph. So why don't you shove that bell right up your... Okay.
Well,
anyway.
I think Wojo has interviewed Mel Brooks.
I'm just kidding. I watched this, and then I watched it with the director's commentary.
But didn't you see him in person? Didn't you go to something where he was talking? Okay.
I did. Blazing Saddles, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Blazing Saddles.
Yeah. But so
did anybody ask any Young Frankenstein questions?
No, all they asked was actually he got on stage. Everyone laughed through Blazing Saddles like they saw it for the first time, even with some of the stuff that today you have trouble with. And I think it was uncomfortable for the first 5 minutes, but it was like everyone saw it for the first time. And he gets on stage and says, "Before anyone asks, no, I could not make this movie today." So that's all he said about it, but it was pretty cool. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead, Ralph. I'm sorry.
No, Wojo actually interviewed him, right?
Yeah,
Mel?
I interviewed him little less than 7 years ago, and I pulled.
I can hit the bell on that one, right?
Yes. One of the things he said was he wanted to work on it, and Wilder said that he could work on it with him on one condition: he couldn't be in it. And Mel Brooks said, "Why? Am I such a bad actor?" And he said, "No." And the quote Mel Brooks gave him was, "No, but you're always breaking the fourth wall. You're always surprising. There's a lot of anarchy in you. And I don't want to be a crazy comedy. I want to be a real movie with natural comedy." And Brooks said, "You're absolutely right. That's the way they'll do it." So Brooks wasn't in it, but he provided voices for it.
The cat hit by the dart.
Yep.
Cat hit by a dart.
Werewolf.
And
Werewolf.
Victor Frankenstein.
Oh, the grandfather?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's right. The voice, when he was hearing the voice when they went in the laboratory, right?
Yeah. He said, "I did them for real. I didn't try and make them funny. I tried to mimic the guys that originally did Frankenstein." And he gave me a couple other kind of fun facts. So Ralph mentioned that he made it in black and white, but he didn't make it in black and white just for just to make it a black and white film. You know, he wanted to match the previous Frankenstein, you know. But what he said was they were doing a satire of the 1931 Frankenstein directed by James Whale. So they wanted to film it in black and white. Brooks said if they made the movie in color, they'd have to make the monster green. We said if we make the monster green, it'll look like a Hollywood Halloween mask. And it won't have the gravity, it won't have the depth, it won't have the power of the James Whale movie. And he so insisted on making it in black and white that he lost the first deal because Columbia Pictures insisted on making it on color fused stock. That they'd show it on black and white in the United States, but they wanted it in color for the foreign release, and Mel Brooks turned them down. Alan Ladd Jr. had just taken over 20th Century Fox. After reading the script, he gave a green light to it, black and white and all. So,
well, he also gave them the budget that they wanted. Columbia wouldn't go up on their budget.
Yeah.
Tiny budget, though.
Yeah, it was tiny. I think it was 2.3. I think what it ended up costing.
Yeah. 2.3.
Columbia would only give them 1.7. They also filmed it on black and white stock, not on. They didn't use color film and then diffuse it.
Right.
Because he was afraid that if they
would
did
then
it,
run it in
that's
color.
right. That's why it was on pure black and white stock.
Well, even when you look at the covers, right? Since I can show it, and the new covers come out with the the actors down here. It does look stupid with the guy in green like that.
Well, he was in green.
Yeah.
Right.
He was in green.
He's in green on the set, but you know, they're photographing in black
just
and white.
like in the real Frankenstein. It just photographs better in black and white.
Right.
Do you want me to give the other fun facts he gave me now, or you want to?
Yes, please.
Load them up. Load up some fun facts.
Okay, so I think Ralph or John, one of you mentioned that the laboratory equipment used in the movie was from the original 1931 film. He said to me that he found out that Kenneth Strickfaden, the man who had made these props, he called him up. He found out he was still alive. He called him up, and the guy had them in his garage. And he said, can we use them? And he said when they found that out, Strickfaden dusted them off, plugged them in, and they all still worked.
That's crazy.
So he asked 20th Century Fox if we could rent them and give him a decent sum of money. And they also gave him a film credit, which he did not get in the original Frankenstein.
Oh, wow.
He was on the set, too. Whenever they filmed those scenes, he was there on the set.
Okay. Brooks's favorite time during the making of the movie was lunch. It's not hungry. He said it was because he said he would sit around with Gene Wilder, Terry Garr, Madeline Kahn, Peter Boyle, and Marty Feldman, and they would all share stories about their lives. He remembers Kahn talking about how she originally wanted to be an opera singer, and then someone thought she was funny and gave her a comedic role. She then became a comic actress instead. He sometimes didn't direct, even though he was the director of the film. This is the last thing I have. He told me he let the actors and actresses have space and just do what would come naturally. He said to them, play it like a play. I'm not going to chop it up. I'm not going to say cut. You're going to talk for 10 minutes and I'm not going to interfere. Just keep doing it. So some fun scenes that resulted from this. When Garr remarks to Wilder that he hasn't touched his food and he begins to jam his hands into it saying, there, I've touched it. That was advised. Another is when Feldman says, I'll never forget what me father said to me at times like this. And then he just pauses and doesn't say anything for an uncomfortable amount of time. It wasn't until Wilder asks, what did he say? That Feldman responds, he wasn't supposed to say that line. He said, speaking of Feldman, Wilder wasn't supposed to say anything, but Feldman had the guts just to sit there and say nothing. So there were different things like that. I read on IMDb, Mel Brooks didn't tell me this, but Gene Wilder did this piece for free. He wanted to try comedy and talk them into letting him play the blind guy. So he did 4 days work.
Gene Hackman.
Yeah, you said
Gene
Wilder.
Hackman.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Gene Hackman. Too many Genes. And it turned out he was in the movie for 4 minutes. And the line at the end of his segment when he said, I was going to make espresso, that was ad-libbed. And they immediately fade to black because the whole crew started to laugh so hard. And they kept laughing every time he would deliver that. Then he kept laughing. That was the first take. They had to use the first take. They couldn't get it again. So there's my Mel Brooks stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah. Love that scene.
The last thing he said was the only thing that's really heartbreaking about this movie is that people are seeing it on a much smaller screen than it's intended for. I loved it on the big screen.
Yeah. Well, that's every movie now, but
yeah.
All right. Let's throw in one of our two guests. One of you guys jump in, John or Michael, whoever puts their hand up first gets to say something. Boom. There it is. Wow. Quick.
Yeah. I've heard that listening to interviews and reading about this, that there was a lot of ad-lib stuff on there, especially when, one of the biggest ad-lib lines was when they were saying, Igor, get the bags. You take the blonde, I'll get the one with the turban. He made that he made that one up on the spot too, and they said that the crew died. They were laughing. There was a 10-minute crack up where people couldn't even breathe. They wd laughing so hard at that. And he had been doing a lot of lines like that throughout the set. He'd been doing a lot of that stuff. And then what you were just telling me about Gene Hackman, that makes sense too. I guess that was and they really did come up with some gems doing that. You really got to give it to them, with some of the ad libs. You've got that caliber of actor who can do it. But it was just, I think I saw this on television when I was in elementary school, and I didn't know it was supposed to be funny until I was pretty well into it.
Yeah, it comes off very straight.
Scared, right. I was watching it like, because I had heard of Frankenstein, I'd heard of Bride of Frankenstein. I was like, oh, this is Young Frankenstein. What's this? So, I think the thing that really kind of got me laughing was whenever the horses would whinny whenever they said and then after a while, I got it. And
well, there's an old wives' tale that Flarblucher means horse glue.
Yeah.
Is that right?
But it's not. That's not the thing. But supposedly that was one of the things that came out of this. John, you were telling me that I sent you the behind the scenes of the Mel Brooks track, and how much fun you thought everybody was having on the set. Which is kind of going with Michael was saying.
I could just imagine being, I would do any job on this set just to be there and be one of those people that, just totally lost it when they, when they made a joke or they just couldn't hold it in anymore. I mean, Mel talks about how many times, Gene Wilder kept it together. He just held on to that, that second that just, gave him a chance to cut to another scene and so I mean, the first time I saw this was in college, and I was so disappointed. I couldn't get over the fact that it was black and white. I mean, it was just, and that has poisoned me.
Wait, but you didn't see it until college? You didn't see it back when you were 14, 15?
Well, but that wasn't too far after it came out.
Well, it came out in 74.
Yeah, so in 78.
Oh, true, 79. Okay, so right. Okay.
78.
Yeah.
And so I just couldn't get over the fact that it was in black and white, and that just, I mean, it poisoned me for the first time I saw it. And it wasn't until I saw it probably much later that it just, it pissed me off basically that I didn't enjoy it the first time for such a stupid reason. And it was just so brilliant. They're not cheap laughs, that they sort of earn them. But it's funny, it's the little things. It's and watching Mel's commentary track, like his wife hated the rat running down the stairs. But then she loved the line right after that, and it just left my head. But
dirty, filthy rats or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's one of them. The first, if somebody asks me, what's your favorite movie, that's the first thing that pops in my head. So.
Oh wow. All right, Sean, Debbie, you've been so quiet. I'm holding Drew off because I can't wait. But
yeah, I love it.
If he says he likes it, you're going to be so disappointed.
Drew, what's up with that background? Looks like a wanted poster, man.
I'm moving in a couple of weeks, and I'm actually staying in a jail right now. Trying to hide it.
I'm waiting. Dun, 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 dun.
All right, Sean and Debbie, here we go.
Sorry. I saw this movie in college, and I loved it. I really, it was, I was disappointed when I saw it in black and white. I remember when you guys said that. But then, and when it was, because you didn't know what it was. I didn't realize what it was. It was a comedy. And then I just loved this film. The funny was just so spot on. It was just hilarious, I thought.
Now, I know Sean has a 16mm print of Blazing Saddles that he probably plays all the time. Had you seen Blazing Saddles before this one?
No, I think well, I tell you what, I showed Blazing Saddles in my backyard about 5 years ago, and I really
How did that go?
regretted it.
It was
really what?
I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm playing this in my neighborhood.
What were we thinking? It was so funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's not his point.
Blazing
It's
Saddles
very
is
funny.
hilarious.
But it's...
Well, Debbie doesn't like Blazing Saddles as much.
Oh, my God.
I loved Blazing Saddles when I first saw it. I laughed so hard at the beans, and I was just hilarious. But now it's just, 14-year-old boys kind of.
Exactly. What's the point? That's the point.
Well, here's the way. I view... my two favorite Mel Brooks films, and Producers is a good third, are Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. And I view them the way that Marx Brothers fans view Duck Soup and Night at the Opera. Duck Soup, in my opinion, Blazing Saddles is Duck Soup, the Wilder film. But Young Frankenstein is definitely the better movie. I mean, it's shot better. It's... construction-wise, it's
structured. It's a structured film. I mean,
it's structured. It works as a movie. Blazing Saddles is more of a collection of gags. So I really love this film. We just watched it again. We were laughing, and Debbie's like, "Do we need to watch it again?" Because we've watched it, so many times, and we're so familiar with it. I did not see it on its initial release. When it was first in the theaters. But I think I saw it soon after as part of a double feature within, a couple years of it. Someone took me to see, a friend of mine's parents' mother took us to see Blazing Saddles. And she had no idea how much sexual humor it was. I didn't get the jokes, but his mother was like completely ashamed and like shrinking. I'm surprised she didn't take us out, but so she didn't take us to see this next one. It's interesting. Debbie and I saw the play, the musical, done regionally, and it didn't do as well as the producers. And I think because the play just has this kind of leering sexuality that doesn't necessarily play with modern theater audiences. But I really enjoyed the play. I enjoyed the musical. And I can see why he didn't want putting on the Ritz in there, because they had that in the musical too. You have to pay for the rights for that, Otherwise, he would be making all the musical money.
As a 14-year-old,
yeah.
As a 14-year-old who saw this, I love the leering sexual stuff that was. It's Terry Garr. Was that her first movie?
No, it wasn't her first. I think it was her first big movie. Her mother was the costume mistress on the movie.
Oh,
and that's how she got the audition. They wanted her for Elizabeth, and Madeline Kahn for Inga, and then Madeline Kahn wanted to play Elizabeth instead. So Mel Brooks said, "Well, if you can do a German accent, you can do Inga." And she goes, "Oh, sure, I can do a German accent, no problem." Just like that, he goes, "Okay, you get the job." And it was perfect because Madeline Kahn was perfect.
Madeline Kahn was great.
She was. I mean, that was
Blazing Saddles. She was great in this one. All right, Drew.
I mean, where to begin?
I don't know. Spotlight. Look at this. Is bad. I don't know. Begin somewhere.
I guess it's funny the way you guys talk about this movie as the movie that you watched when you were, in your teens, and all the jokes stick with you. I grew up on The Naked Gun, Top Secret, those type of movies.
Classic.
So I get the attraction. What's really funny is that the Naked Gun movies are very funny. There are also all kinds of jokes about TV shows I've never seen and didn't understand at the time. And yet, if somebody says "nice beaver," I'll still say thanks. I just had it stuffed.
All the time.
I also grew up watching Mel Brooks movies, and I have seen some of them more recently, and I still enjoy History of the World Part 1 and Blazing Saddles and The Producers. And my favorite Mel Brooks black and white movie is Elephant Man, which is a little different, but this is one of those movies where everybody that's in it is amazing. What it's doing, the references that it makes visually and story-wise to two movies that I do like, Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, is very effective. It's full of jokes. It just doesn't work for me. Like I sit as my wife sat through History of the World Part 1 and don't laugh. I don't get upset and resent it the way that she did, that it wasn't funny. But I hadn't seen it since
I'm starting to resent that you don't think it's funny. I don't know how you I don't know how you see this and not say it's funny.
I don't want you to take it personally.
I do not take it personally.
Every time I didn't laugh, I thought, man, fuck Ralph. So I think I think sometimes to me it's funny that the experience of watching this movie to me is it's a lot like Citizen Kane for me. I get why it's so important. I see what works about it. I understand why it's so popular. I just think it's boring. That's not the same.
I agree with you on Citizen Kane.
Yeah, it's not the same. I don't think Young Frankenstein is bad. I don't think hearing all you guys talk about it means that you don't know what you're talking about or you don't get it. It didn't connect with me. And
Did you like Blazing Saddles?
What?
You like Blazing Saddles?
Yeah, I think that movie is very funny, and I think Gene Wilder he's just wonderful, and he and Cleavon Little's chemistry in that movie alone is just fantastic.
Is it because it's more structured than like Naked Gun is not a structured movie? The structure's in the jokes. The jokes are come at you fast and furious. That's what the whole Police Squad TV series was. Just throw everything out there, see what sticks. If it doesn't stick, the next one's
Police Squad was an awesome series.
Yeah.
I have that.
So this one's this is a movie. This is a structured movie that he wanted to. Is it? Do you think it's that, or do you think?
No, it's not that it's not joke after joke after joke. I was watching it. I just finished watching it for the second time about 20 minutes before we started. And
second time ever?
Yeah. Oh. And I guess. I felt myself being, I felt kind of left out, I think. It didn't make me sad. I was just like, this is just not connecting with me. It's funny what you said about Mel Brooks treating it like a play because it felt very theatrical. And that's not necessarily a good thing in a movie, especially when this is a real movie with a real story. And,
well, except you like Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein. You talk
well,
about
it was based on James Whale's 1930 acting. That's what they said.
Right.
That's why it was theatrical like that.
Those movies, to me, were much more dynamic and exciting. It doesn't mean that this is bad. It just
didn't do it for you.
Well, it's been nice having you on the podcast, Drew.
No, I think he said he liked The Counselor. So
nobody likes
The Counselor. It was a terrible movie that was a lot of fun to watch.
Right.
But if I want to see a movie that refers to these movies that I think is more effective and also very funny, I would see Ed Wood.
Okay.
Loved Ed Wood.
Yeah, that's like.
I mean, Ed Wood this is an iconic movie. Think of the lines of dialogue that are in our culture today. Walk this way. No, this way. Everybody knows those lines.
Anytime someone picks up a candle, I go, put the candle back. Every time.
Listen to me very carefully. Wherever you go, don't put the candle back.
I mean, roll in the hay. I know. Drew, I know you, Drew. I'm sorry. You're going to get pummeled. We're all going to start throwing lines at you. Totally respect. Obviously, I respect.
No, it's funny because you're defending something that I'm not attacking. Like I'm looking at my notes that I wrote.
Well, it kind of sounds like an attack, Drew. I got to be honest with you. I mean,
I've got a question for you.
Hang on. If you said the exact same things that I'm saying as far as what didn't work for me and it was disappointing, and you said it about Mad Max Fury Road, I would say I'm sorry that it didn't connect with you. But I couldn't yell a lot of lines at you because there really aren't that many.
I just can't say that. I don't feel comfortable saying that to you, Drew.
No, I think we actually said that in that podcast. Some of us.
We did say that in that podcast.
Debbie, were you going to ask something?
Debbie, what are you going to ask?
Question for you, Drew.
Yes.
Did you say that Kelly, your lovely wife, loves this movie?
No. I'm saying she and I watched History of the World Part 1. I was like, I'm going to show you this movie I grew up on. It's really funny. I'm going to show it to you and this other couple. And they just got stone-faced. So I get that Mel Brooks isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
And I still, if I hear that, the Inquisition song from that movie.
What a show, the Inquisition.
I think Mel Brooks is very talented. It's just, there's this space in the Mel Brooks universe that it just didn't connect with me. It doesn't mean.
This was more like, this was the film. This was really a film that he made, unlike some of those other ones. And I think maybe that's why. But
you say that, but I think The Producers is very funny.
Yeah, it's a producer's.
Well, that's his. What's his second movie, or was it his first?
12 Chairs. No, he did 12 Chairs too. Something called
12 Chairs. That was the first one, right?
I mean, The Producers is an original script,
right?
The Broadway version, I think, was funny and entertaining. The Will Ferrell, Matthew Broderick movie version was awful. But the producer,
I didn't like that.
It's not that Mel Brooks doesn't get me if it's not a laugh a minute, if it's not just jokes, because The Producers, I mean, they're flaunt it, baby. It's such a funny, smart movie, and this one just didn't do it for me.
Can I just ask this question a different way? Kelly, does she like this movie, Young Frankenstein?
I don't know if she's seen it since she was a kid and remember it or not.
She didn't watch it with you when you watched it, Drew.
No, she was getting her hair did.
No, after sitting through History of the World, she didn't want to sit through this one.
You can have a very interesting discussion with her about Mel Brooks in general. But, I mean, I grew up on these movies. I grew up on Gene Wilder and the Frisco Kid and all this kind of stuff. And this one, I mean, I know now why I didn't see it many times.
Wow, I'm shocked at that.
Listen, I love Gene Wilder and Stir Crazy, that whole thing he did with Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor.
Oh my God.
That's right.
Willy Wonka.
That's right. We bad.
All right, so let's just quickly go around. Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
In a sense, I feel the same way. I don't think, like, these two films were great. The ones before it were great. But I'm not a fan of silent movie or high anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
I saw both of them in the theaters. Wasn't a fan of them. I really liked History of the World Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you what, I did not like Spaceballs.
Oh my God, what is wrong with you? Oh,
I went to a party.
No, I think I'm kicking you off the podcast. You're out. You're out.
Let me tell you which one that we thought we turned off.
What?
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yeah, that was bad.
I agree with that.
We turned that off.
Island movie was a hit or miss because there's one.
He
word in
lost
that movie.
He lost a couple of steps with that one.
High anxiety is great. High anxiety.
People tell us to this day, "You've got to see that. It's so hilarious." And I thought, "Oh my God!"
We turned it off half hour in.
I know. We were like, "This is horrible." And
But if you don't like Spaceballs, there's something not right with that.
I like Dracula Dead and loving it.
Was that Mel Brooks?
Yeah, with Leslie Nielsen as the vampire.
Yeah, he keeps, it's like, he just keeps hitting and trying. He tries. He was on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He did a whole run with the producers. He was great. All right, John, give me your favorite scene. John Cosenzi, favorite scene. It's hard, I know, but try.
No, yeah, there's so many, but when they finally get into the lab, and into his room, and they show that they go down the heads.
Yeah, freshly dead.
There's Marty Feldman at the end. And he does the rim shots at the ta-ta-ta. I mean, I was on the floor.
They keep bringing up his eyes too. His eyes became a big part of the whole thing. Damn those eyes! They already have. Michael, favorite scene.
Well, you kind of took that from me right there because I was going to mention one-liners by Marty Feldman that came up all the time. The freshly dead head and the damn your eyes and the you take the blonde one with the turban. All those things where he would just kind of swoop in and just bust you real good with
and then disappear.
and then disappear. The other time when. I think he was up and the lightning was getting ready to strike, and then all of a sudden it's gone. He was like all the way downstairs or something that. All those things that he did, I mean, he really did a hell of a job on that.
Well, the whole hump joke through the whole movie. It's on one side or the other.
Always changing.
Then the hump's gone. What hump? I can get rid of that. All that.
And that became a joke in the movie. He started doing that. It wasn't the movie.
Right.
The cast hadn't noticed. For a while, he kept changing the hump on the other side, putting it in the middle, and then it became part of the movie. And
Feldman did that. He just kept flopping it around. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Anytime Marty Feldman breaks the fourth wall, I lose it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and that's it. Whatever he says, I'm just cracking up.
Brad, what about you? Any scene?
Oh, I mean, the guy the one with the heads was kind of hilarious for me too. And I mean, Marty Feldman was perfect in this. I mean, he just he didn't have to say anything sometimes. Just the looks he gave were just priceless.
It's Igor.
Yeah.
They were wrong now, weren't they?
I'm not sure.
They were wrong now.
I didn't know what I think.
My grandfather used to. I'm Igor. No, you're Friedrich. Okay.
The rates have gone up.
Yeah.
I actually
John Quartucci.
For me, the scene where he's going to, whatever you do, don't open the door to the cell. I have to get through to him. Then he, open the door, you son of a bitch! Open the door! That scene was hilarious to me. All it takes Gene Wilder did were great. When he's, what kind of brain? Igor, come here for a second. What kind of brain did you put in him? It was Abby something. Abby something. Abby normal, I think. You put it. That stuff was great.
I will not be mad.
Give him a sedative.
Actually, the other one.
I will not be mad.
When he first saw the fire and was choking Gene Wilder, and then they had to do this.
Seconded.
Drew, you were going to say something while John was
I actually have a favorite joke in the movie. It's right at the beginning. And it's not Gene Wilder yelling, so maybe that's what was turning me off. When he sticks the scalpel in his leg.
And he just sits there.
That is just so funny, and you learn so much about his character.
Then he crosses his leg.
Right.
Yeah.
Class dismissed.
Not happening. Right. I mean, that was really funny. But,
my grandfather was doo-doo.
That was the peak for me, unfortunately.
Well, Sean and Debbie?
My favorite scene, it's not a funny scene, is when Gene Wilder is up in the lab and he's just bringing Frankenstein's monster to life, and he's just like over dramatic and goes, and bring it to life. And I love that scene. It was funny in a way.
Well, his hair is all over the place, and his eyes are bugging out, and he's
A lot of that was from the original Frankenstein book.
Right.
Yeah, and I love
that. Yeah.
You know, the moment where they're bringing, you know, dead into animating it. You know, it was just cool.
She came for the science and stayed for the comedy.
Sean, you want to add anything?
I mean, I love all the stuff. I was going to say the scene where they just talk about the brain. You know, it's like, I'm not going to be mad. You know, I really love the dance sequence at the end where they're putting on the Ritz. I just think it's just so utterly absurd that this is a scientific gathering. And the evidence of that it worked is that they're going to do a dance number.
Well, and that they had vegetables by their seats to throw at them. All these scientists.
Well, and when the movie was written, they didn't have anything for the monster to say. So they didn't know what to do. So Peter Boyle ad-libbed that and went,
Oopa doopa.
Didn't Peter Doyle turn down French Connection because he wanted to do more romantic leads, and then he did this one?
Yeah. He was good at
you
this.
Say something?
He was good at this.
The other part that I liked was when they were out digging up bodies, and it started to rain, and then that hand was sticking out of the coffin.
Oh, yeah.
The cop comes over and he just he's sitting there, you know.
Nah, physical comedy was,
Hands. He says, "You're
cold."
Terrible.
I'm going to give you two sets of scenes. One is a 14-year-old boy, and one is an older man. I loved every scene Terry Garr was in. Her rolling in the hay. That scene where she goes, when Gene Wilder says, "Elevate me." What's it?
She goes,
and of course, the famous, which I'll play the audio. Who knows if you can hear it?
Schweinsteiger or whatever it is.
Veins, his feet, his hands, his organs would all have to be increased in size. He would have an enormous Fronkensteen.
Wolf's going to be
very popular. I mean, come on. All right, that's my 14-year-old brain. My older brain.
Oh, I thought that was your grown man.
Yeah.
No,
I get very confused, Ralph.
I still have a super crush on Terry Garr. Every movie she did after this, she was in The Conversation, which I think was before this, around the same time. Obviously, the Richard Dreyfuss, the Steven Spielberg's movie,
Close Encounters.
That one, Close Encounters. She did a great one with Richard Dreyfuss where he goes on a winning binge. One day he goes to horse track and he can't lose. It's the greatest Richard Dreyfuss movie ever made.
I love that movie.
Yeah, Let It Ride.
Let It Ride.
Great
Oh my
movie.
God, my favorite. I was going to go to a show to see Richard.
In Clam Bake with Elvis, and the film Head.
Wow, she's been around and she's just
Clam bake, gonna clam bake.
And it never stopped. And so now my older brain, the Gene Hackman scene, seeing Gene Hackman in that film.
Was uncredited, by the way.
Okay, uncredited, but he was brilliant. And it's Gene
awesome.
Hackman, who just came off of French Connection, serious actor. You never see him anything funny, and he was freaking phenomenal. And
So
I just
how
love
that came about, he played tennis with Gene Wilder. And he said, Gene Wilder told him he was doing this Mel Brooks movie, and he said, well, you think there's anything in it for me? And they said, well, there might be a part for you. And they told him about the blind guy. And they said it would be a 2-day shoot because it's such a short scene. And it ended up a 10-day shoot.
Oh, my God.
But most people at the time didn't even know that was Gene Hackman because of the beard and the long hair.
I know.
He figured that out till afterwards. He was so good in that, too.
Yeah.
That scene was so funny.
Yeah.
He played it so straight. That's what made it so funny.
I agree. All right. Well, I just asked Chris to come on. Don't know if he's going to come on.
What about Steve? Is Steve going to come on at any time?
I guess
He's got so much to say about our podcast. You'd think he'd show up.
He was our first viewer we invited on. We got a comment. We invited him on.
And his comments sucked. So, by the way, speaking of comments, if you're watching this, subscribe, hit the notification button, and please share. Right now, if you look at all the squares here, this is about how many people are watching us. So, so this isn't bad. This is not bad.
Well, we're about to add one more. Here comes Al. Now
All right.
we'll do Al's segment, and then I'm going to do the trivia after Al's segment.
Okay.
Either edit that out or keep it in. We'll see
All
how
right,
it goes.
so we can actually edit out Al's segment.
No, Al's segment is staying in because
that's
it's my
cool, whatever.
podcast and I like
Ralph,
it. Okay.
Ralph, can I lead him into the brought to you by Papa?
Hey,
hang on.
Patreon, let's go.
That's the sponsor I want right there.
Oh, nice.
That's my local town spa, my pizza joint in Massachusetts. All right. Al's setting up, I guess. There he is.
There he
I'm
is.
ready.
Hey, Al.
Hey,
Stand by
Jojo.
while I
Hey,
bring on Al's intro. This is always a
Al gets an intro. I don't even get this.
Al
How
gets
come
an
we don't
intro?
all get intros?
Of course he gets an intro.
What?
Al, what do we got today?
Today on Uncle Al's movie pile is Frank Henenlotter's Frankenhooker, which I thought would be a great companion
Quite appropriate.
to Young Frankenstein, as they are both comedies. So check that cover out. Great film. This came out in 1990, had a $2.5 million budget, which is probably the highest.
Which is bigger than
was
Young
higher
Frankenstein.
than Frankenstein.
Wow.
Well, you got to account for inflation, though. Anyhow, so this is probably the biggest budget that Henenlotter ever had, and it shows. He's got some good shots in there, some good effects work, but they did actually manage to get Bill Murray to give a quote for this film. It is, if you see one movie this year, it should be Frankenhooker. So, leading into that, just want to do a little plot dive.
Should I show a clip first, or you want to do the plot
No,
first?
well, I'll discuss the plot. We'll go to the clip, and then I'll give my opinion.
Okay.
How's that?
That sounds great. It's your 5 minutes.
Thank you. So you have former med student Jeffrey. He enjoys dabbling in the art of electrical flesh engineering while working at New Jersey Gas and Electric. During a family barbecue, his overweight fiancée Elizabeth, played by former Penthouse pet Patty Mullen, is tragically killed in a robotic lawnmower accident. From there, we follow Jeffrey's pursuit of not only reanimating Elizabeth, but perfecting her. This leads him to the fringe of society where he makes a deal with flesh peddling Zorro. Assembling a team of New York City's finest streetwalkers, Jeff is going to party and decide whose parts would be best for his project. Not without moral qualms, Jeffrey almost backs out until the ladies of the night discover his super crack stash, leading to an explosive result. Once the parts are gathered, he brings Elizabeth back to life, only for her to escape and use her Frankenhooker powers to kill her Johns. Eventually, pissed off pimp Zorro finds Elizabeth and almost destroys her, but Jeffrey saves the day and takes her back home. Zorro follows them, and the film concludes with a classic Henenlotter ending featuring basket case-style puppetry and a head transplant. So to get a little taste of what this movie is actually like, Ralph, would you please play a clip?
I will attempt to do that without showing my crotch.
It was this power mower that brought a quick end to the life of 21-year-old bride-to-be Elizabeth Shelley.
Here's to you, to us, to new beginnings. Cleanse the palate now. There we go, nice and slow. That's very good. That's it. That's it. Very good, nice and easy. This super crack will get the job done a lot quicker.
Holy shit, it's John! It's super John! Holy shit, it's John!
Want a date? You going out?
No thanks, I'm on my way home, but thanks anyway.
Well, look at the lady in purple. What truck hit you?
You looking for some action?
Hey, get your hands off me, babe.
Alright!
Oh, that was wonderful.
I've seen that guy.
That guy's been
I've
around.
seen that guy too.
Yeah. I think he was the Viking in that Jason.
You are now part of the group, Mike.
Hey, well, thank you.
On
No,
you.
that really is a companian to Young Frankenstein.
Yeah,
You did a hell of a
definitely.
job there.
Yes, thank you.
Drew, did that connect with you in any way?
I'm a Frankenstein fan, so it's very popular here in jail.
In terms of this film, it's not my absolute favorite of Henry Lauder's, we'll call it Creature Trilogy. That would be Brain Damage. But I just love Henry Lauder's twisted, offensive sense of humor. And he always has super low budget effects, but it doesn't take away from the movie. It actually like enhances it. And I just love it. And if you actually watch the movie, the super crack sequence is probably one of the craziest, zaniest things you'll ever see. There are tons of exploding hookers, shall we say.
Sean, did Roger Ebert review this?
Why, yes, he did. No, just
Al, you need some help, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Al,
Now, Al, are these all part of the Vinegar Syndrome stuff that you get?
No, this was released by Synapse, I believe. This is not a part of the Vinegar Syndrome collection, though.
because we would like them to sponsor us, or maybe Team People.
Oh,
Wait, I'm not familiar with that company, Sean.
I don't know who that is. I don't know why.
Yeah, who is that?
So weird.
I'm going to second Al's recommendation of Brain Damage. I saw that movie. I was, I think, 13, and it changed my life. Right from the first time you see a bathtub full of brains, and that's like the least crazy thing you see in that movie, I really recommend that.
This reminds me, the stuff that Al's been bringing on reminds me when I was in middle school and early high school, and VCRs were out and video clubs were around and stuff. We would rent, oh my God, some of the most ridiculous movies. Mother's Day, the horror movie.
Oh God.
Fucking Freaks. You know, I mean, just stuff that.
Sorority Babes at the Bowling Alley. What's the name of that one, Al?
It's Sorority Babes at the Slimeball Bolorama.
That's a classic. It's on Laserdisc.
Yeah.
I have it. I own it.
That's a Charles
Chris
Band
really
film.
wants it because you can't find it anywhere. Well, that's fantastic. Anything else, Chris? Al? Anything else,
Just
Al?
one more thing. You need to bleep that, please. Bleep that.
I will.
So the other thing I like about this movie, it's at the tail end of the griminess of New York City, so you kind of get to see that transition a little bit away towards a more cleaner environment, let's say.
Okay.
And on my rating scale, I'm giving this 4 puzzle boxes out of 5. That's my rating scale. And if you don't know maybe this will help. Does that help at all? Does that tell you where the puzzle boxes
do?
Yeah, that's right. All right.
Is that as a puzzle box from a horror movie?
From Hellraiser, Ralph. Did you not watch the movie?
I was on the podcast and I've already forgotten it.
Well, that's a shame.
Right?
Yeah, but he's Gen X.
Yeah.
I am. Well, I used to be.
You are not.
Not even close.
I've aged a little bit. All right. Well, listen. I think
If you were 14 when Young Frankenstein came out, you were not genuine.
I didn't think we needed to rate this because I thought it was all going to be thumbs up all around or Yippee-Ki-Yay all around. But I guess since Drew brought us down, we got to rate it now. So, so we'll go around. Michael, what's your rate? Michael, here's how we rate. It's either Yippee-Ki-Yay or Yippee-Ki-Nay.
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
There you go. Sean and Debbie.
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
I'm going to throw Drew. Drew, right now.
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Yeah. John Cosenzi.
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Way to go. John Quattrucci.
Yippee-Ki-Yay, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Wojo, Brad.
Ki-Yay.
Al, what the hell? You see Young Frankenstein?
No. I watched my Frankenstein movie right here. Go buy it on Blu-ray.
Fascinating. All right, well, that was a good one. I will do the trivia contest after the show, I think. I can always edit it in if I want. So that was awesome. You guys have fun?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Everybody enjoyed themselves? I don't know who wants to do the next movie?
I do.
There you go.
It's Thunderdome. We should fight over it.
He already jumped in. He's got it. You want to tell us now, or you want us to wait?
I think we should watch the movie Mud from 2012 with Matthew McConaughey.
Good.
Okay.
Good choice.
Mud. I have not seen that.
Good choice because I haven't seen it, so that's good. But I've heard good things about it.
I believe it's on Netflix right now.
But I'm still going to rip it to shreds.
Cool.
Even though I heard good things, I'm going to rip it to shreds next week.
Oh my God.
It may crawl inside your heart.
I am kidding, of course. That's a joke.
I've got one word: slap shot.
Who wants to be part of the trivia contest?
Yeah, sure, I'll do it.
What's the trivia contest? I missed out.
For Young Frankenstein. So obviously, Al, you don't want to.
I'll listen.
All right. So here's how it's going to work. If you want to be part of the trivia contest, shut your video off. I'll ask the question. John, are you gone?
No, I'm just out of focus.
Oh, are you shut? You want to be part of the trivia contest?
Sure.
Wasn't that a Woody Allen movie?
All right.
Where he went out of focus.
I gotta hang on. I gotta switch cameras so I can do this right. All right. All right, we got everybody there. Oh, how can I do this and see the? Hang on, this is very complicated. This will all be so much smoother when I do it.
Sure, you got to shut off your camera.
You want me to play? I'll play.
Oh,
no, if you want to play.
Oh no, you didn't like the movie.
I thought I was Ralph's feelings.
Well, they can still win the trivia.
We hurt Ralph's feelings every week.
I don't know if you figure this out. I have no feelings, so don't worry about it. Okay. All right, here we go. It's going to start off. It's going to start easy, and it's going to get hard. Who plays now? Wait, I have to keep score here. So
that's what she said. No, sorry.
All right, who plays Dr. Frankenstein in the film? I'll give you the three answers. Somebody already jumped on. Gene Hackman, Peter Boyle, or Gene Wilder?
Oh,
Gene Wilder.
All right, one for John.
He was the first one.
Okay, shut your videos off.
Michael's cheating.
What sound accompanies any mention of Frau Blucher?
Horse's neighing.
Horse's whinny.
There's a delay.
There is a delay.
I'm going to give that to Debbie.
This is working great.
Why don't we just raise our hand?
All right, that's fine. Raise your hand.
All right.
I mean,
everybody
right,
get on.
Good.
All right, good call.
Okay. Yep.
True or false? Frankenstein is proud of his Transylvanian heritage.
False.
Sean.
False.
When you start asking some tough questions, I'll jump in.
I didn't make these up. These are all. These are just a thing. What is the name of Frankenstein's hunchback helper? I'm going to give you the names. Don't jump. Ivan, Igor, or Ian?
Ralph.
None of the above.
Trick question.
I did.
Igor.
I know. Debbie. So who is that? Who said that? John? John Q?
Yeah,
No,
but
I
I don't
said
want
it.
to answer stupid questions, Ralph. Come on, get some good ones. Please.
Okay. What is the
Al
name?
could answer these.
What is the name of Frankenstein's assistant? Inga, India, or Ingrid?
Inga.
Inga.
That you're not raising your hand there, but we'll take it.
Good job, John. Don't raise your hand.
Well, you know.
What objects opens the door to Frankenstein's secret lab? A bell,
or candle,
a hook, or a candle?
Candle.
Candle.
Mike said it.
Michael got it.
Put the candle back.
All right. True or false? The original Dr. Frankenstein left an instruction manual for reanimating the dead.
True.
Michael.
True.
True.
How I did it.
Right.
Like the O.J. Simpson reference.
Yeah.
Okay. What body parts does Frankenstein seek from Hans Delbruck? A heart? Okay, go ahead. John?
Brain!
All right. You're in the lead so far. True or false? Young Frankenstein used props from the original Frankenstein.
Oh,
Sean Murphy. Yeah.
Yes. True.
Again, I didn't write these. This is why it's not in the show, so I'm glad I'm doing it now. Who is Frankenstein engaged to when he travels to Transylvania? Maria, Anne, or Elizabeth? Sean Murphy.
Elizabeth?
These are dumb, Ralph.
I didn't write
This is a stupid trivia
Ralph,
game.
is this like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? At one point, will they get harder?
It's getting better. This is for the internet, for stupid people. Whose brain ultimately ends up in the creature? Abby, Igor, or Arnold?
Abby.
Wojo.
Abby.
Okay.
By the way, Mel Brooks wrote the letters on the label for that and underlined it. That was his
Now,
writing.
see, that's trivia. Who wrote the letters on the labels of the brain?
Exactly. See, that's what. John, why don't you make up the trivia?
Well, let's play Jeopardy. We're going to play Jeopardy, but they're all $100 questions. So.
If there was only somebody else on this podcast that could help me do these, it would be amazing.
If you asked,
what spooks the creature right after he's brought to life? Thunder, a match, or a mouse? Brad.
Fire. A match.
Not the question.
Match.
Shut up.
Match. Come on.
I don't know. If this were Jeopardy, that would not go, but okay, we'll do it.
Hey, so I've got an interesting bit of trivia because this is dumb.
All right, I'll do it.
Did you
do what Don Cosenzi does. Hang on a second. You ready? This is our thing. You ready? Thank you. There you go. Jesus. Okay, go ahead.
You love me.
I do. I do.
When Mary Wollstonecraft wrote this, it was a dare. It was actually a contest that Lord Byron had at his house, and it was who could write. And she was like 18.
18. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a contest who could write a horror story, a scary story, and she wrote, what became the outline for what became Frankenstein, which I always thought, God, when I was 18, we were sitting around Doritos and
that's how they started. That's how they started Bride of
I was loading
Frankenstein.
TVs into people's cars off the loading dock at Hex.
That's how they started Bride of Frankenstein.
You worked at Hex?
They were in the parlor talking
I worked
about
at Hex at Golden Ring
exactly
Mall.
what you were talking about.
Listen,
And
when
then
I
you told
saw
the
this,
story of Bride
okay.
of Frankenstein.
So I read all this. This is an homage to Frankenstein. It's an homage to Bride of Frankenstein. I'm like,
It's
oh,
more Bride of Frankenstein.
Right. So I'm like, Bride of Frankenstein must be one of the most incredible movies ever made. And I watched it and I was like, what the? How does anybody do that? Are you kidding?
That's going to be one of my choices, Ralph. Don't go.
That was better than Frankenstein.
I've just done. You do it again. I don't care. But that movie is ridiculous.
It was better than Frankenstein. It was better than the first one.
I don't believe that.
Oh my God!
I'll challenge that one.
Oh my God!
I understand why everybody thinks that, but Jesus Christ, really?
Okay, why does everyone think that? I want to know why you think everyone thinks that.
Everybody thinks it's a classic. It's like Citizen
why do you think it's better than Frankenstein?
I think everybody says it's better than Frankenstein because it includes the bride, includes the wife of the bride, the hair, the whole thing, all that stuff.
It's really about life because, when you get married, when she sees Frankenstein as her husband, what?
Well, because
Debbie understands that.
Well, the one thing is that the monster becomes way more sympathetic in Bride of Frankenstein because of that very thing. He thinks he's going to build a bride who's going to love him, and she thinks he's ugly too.
Yeah.
Right.
I understand. I'm sympathetic to the character.
My only complaint about that movie is why was there a lever that would blow up the whole castle?
Because it's a Star Trek.
I don't understand that. But that was James Whale. James Whale, because of the success of Frankenstein, James Whale got to do anything he wanted in that movie, and that's got his fingers all over it. Dr. Pretorius.
Did you guys see Gods and Monsters?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, that's if you like Bride of Frankenstein, it's a great movie on its own.
Yeah.
But if you like Bride of Frankenstein, it's just such a great look at who James Whale really was as a person. It's great. It's a great movie.
Ralph, do you have any more incredibly easy trivia questions?
I have one.
Oh, go.
Oh, go.
Oh, John.
This is going to be much better than any of the ones Ralph has thrown out so far. Who on the production team has their name on one of the restaurants on the main street of the town?
Oh, see, that's a good one.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Is it the, if I were to guess, I would say the cinematographer.
No, it's the producer. If you look, it says
He's in it. The producer's in it, right?
Yeah, no, but Michael Gruskoff.
Yes.
Look, it's Gasthaus Gruskoff.
No, I did not know that. He's in 2 scenes, though. I know that.
Here's a hard one. Super hard.
Well, no one got that one, Ralph, so that was hard.
Who plays the clumsy blind hermit in the film? Clint Eastwood, Sean Connery, or Gene Hackman?
Oh, come on.
Is this for real?
What?
What is wrong with you?
Ralph, can you move down? They must get harder as they go along.
I'm saying no. Who does the creature kidnap after he escapes? Okay,
Elizabeth.
good. Right. Who leads a mob of villagers who hope to capture the creature?
The inspector.
Inspector what?
Kemp.
Kemp. Good. How does Frederick lure the monster back to the castle? With force, with music, or with food?
Oh my God! It's like we didn't watch the movie.
Ralph, it's Frodrick.
Frodrick.
Well, not at that point. At that point, I'm Frederick.
Frodrick.
What role did Mel Brooks play in Young Frankenstein?
The cat.
Not according to this one.
And Victor.
Victor Frankenstein.
Nope. On this one, it's the werewolf. He was one of the werewolves howling.
So
We said that.
I got 2 out of 3.
What year was
Yeah,
the film released?
seriously.
74.
74. What delicious drink does Bob Looker? Hang on.
Ovaltine.
Yes.
Yes, it's Ovaltine.
That was improvised.
That's a great
Nice,
scene.
delicious
That was a great
Ovaltine.
scene.
Wasn't it like a list of beverages she offered him and Ovaltine? It's like, yeah.
Would you
Yes,
like a
perhaps-
warm brandy?
Brandy.
Before you go to bed?
Hey,
Perhaps Ovaltine?
Or milk? Ovaltine. No, thank you.
What is a
Bravo.
short smoker?
I like your change in lighting. It's very harmony.
It's very moody.
Oh, thank you.
Very Viking.
It's called The Sun Went Down.
Like you're on a bus.
It was called You Weren't Going to See Me pretty soon.
The budget for the film was $2.8 million.
Right. And
So-
Columbia would only give him 1.7.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And they got to be kicking themselves because that was a huge box office in 74.
I got a comment for Uncle Al.
Comment or
What's that?
Just above.
I was trying to think of the movie. You'll know it, Sean. It's a science fiction movie. It's about a guy who was married to a woman named Elizabeth, and she died. In her head, she was decapitated. He carried her on to life, and he was looking for another woman to replace her body. And he went looking to all places.
Black and white, 1962, maybe.
What's the name of it?
I don't know that one.
The Brain That Wouldn't Die.
Yes, The Brain That Wouldn't Die.
That's
Pan in the
The
pan.
head was in a tank, a tray with water in it.
And it was so weird. It was like a weird kind of movie because I remember seeing it when I was young, very young, and it was very impressionable. He went to great lengths to find this woman, and he found one woman at a burlesque show, and it was like for me as a
it was
kid
an
to see-
upgrade.
I don't know how it was on television.
Wasn't there some movie where a guy's head got cut off and they showed it on the Rosie Greer?
Yeah,
Oh,
Ray
that's the
Milland.
The
The
two
man
heads.
with 2 heads.
Yeah.
What was the movie?
Yeah.
What was it called?
The Man with 2 Heads. It was Rosie Greer and Ray Milland.
They were like right
I
next to
like that combo.
I saw The Man with Two Brains.
I saw it. Steve Martin.
Dr. Huffer. I love that movie. And a mama head.
All right. Well, I think
Ralph, I got to tell you the trivia. You got to edit that in because that's classic stuff.
Yeah. Why didn't we do that with Lou Diamond Phillips? But just a Young Frankenstein trivia.
Exactly. Because the thing is, you don't even have to see the movie. You can answer all of them. So, Ralph,
Yeah, Al could have won this one.
Yeah.
Ralph, I'm
Thanks, Sean.
just kidding.
He's going to give us a hint.
I always support you.
This is classic. This is going
Ralph,
in the vault.
thank you for
none of
all
this.
that you do.
This is in the bloopers. This is in the bloopers reel.
Ralph,
Al,
thank you.
hell of a job, Al, as always.
Is this for our Patreon viewers?
Thank you, Ralph.
Yes, this is. If this
Patreon
doesn't
only.
get us more viewership, nothing will. I'm telling you
will.
right now.
Hell of a job, Al.
As always.
Love you. Your set looks better.
Yeah.
Thank you. I put a blue light
And
up.
Mike and John, thanks for joining us. I mean, I know we only talked about Young Frankenstein for about 15 minutes, but I'm glad you guys were on it.
But I think that was a record.
For having us.
I think
We could do more trivia, but frankly, it's kind of soft.
I tell you what. You know what, John? For the next film, Mud. I know you said I want you to come up with trivia for Mud. Okay.
How about I'll pick a movie and then I'll do trivia. How about that?
There you go. That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
So I'm not going to do Mud because I've never seen it.
Are the lights off in your room? What happened back there?
Who?
Your lights are so dark. So dark.
How's that? You like that?
Michael and John, please don't judge us, but this is how it goes all the time. So
This is this is as good as it gets. I think we held it together when Lou Diamond Phillips was here, and as soon as he was off, we were like, ah!
No, this is seriously. This is as good as it gets, guys. Seriously.
I like that movie too.
So like and subscribe.
Exactly.
I'll be editing around. I will definitely be
Nothing
editing
will.
around the trivia stuff.
In fact, we're thinking about next week's podcast. We're just going to do trivia. We're not even going to review a movie because that just went over like.
Who's the star of the movie Mud?
I just have to tell you, Ralph.
Matthew McConaughey.
To quote Drew, the trivia really didn't. I didn't really connect with the trivia this week. I'm just telling you.
That's why I said. That's why I said would put it in after, so it wasn't part of the show. I wasn't sure I was going to work.
Well, I
I'm
think
winging
that was
this.
a good call on your part.
We could do what is
Whoa, John complimented Ralph.
To be fair, this is why Al only does 5 minutes on this show because it's so unstructured. Okay, so that's what it's all about.
Oh wow! Way to make us try and feel ashamed.
Wow.
It's not about you guys.
We don't care.
Very encouraging, Ralph.
It's my podcast, so the structure's on me. I guess I'm blaming myself.
Yeah.
So are we.
All right. Well, I gotta go.
Wow.
John, do you regret
It's a long drive home.
That's how I'm going to end the show right
All the
there.
way down the steps.
That was pretty
in the
good.
living room.
Put the candle back.
Listen very carefully.
You know what would be fun? You know what would be fun sometime? If we didn't necessarily, we talked about movies, but we brought our favorite movie quotes. Because they're like, we watched, back in the 90s, we watched Con Air like 7,000
Ah, I love Con Air.
And we have so many quotes that we just say, like every time you say, put the cat in the back, I think, put the bunny in the box. Seriously.
Yeah, I got the day that might seem strange.
Right.
It might. But hey, it'd be better than another trivia.
Wow, Jesus Christ! You know, you
No,
try
Ralph.
You know
it
what?
wasn't-
It's always the
wasn't your
first guy that goes through the wall that gets hurt so much. That's what the problem is. This guy going through the wall takes all the hits. I got it. I tried something that didn't work. I'm going to write that down.
I mean,
right now, no more trivia. No more trivia.
No more
bad trivia.
Not for first graders.
Wait a minute. No more Ralph doing trivia.
Fill in the
No
blank.
more Ralph
Blank
doing trivia.
Frankenstein.
I'm going to be like I'll just be the director of I'll just point to people. I don't have to do it anymore. Okay? That's
Ralph,
it.
you say this every week. You get pissed off at the end every single week.
And then you come up with a crotch
I'm
cam.
not doing
and then,
this. You guys don't appreciate me.
I'm done trying to innovate.
Bringing
okay?
up my ex-wives. Stop bringing up Jenna met Lou Diamond Phillips at a diner.
I'm done
Stop
trying to
talking
innovate.
about the counselor.
Frankenhooker over there.
Everybody's making
you
fun
know.
of me.
Ralph,
Ralph, when you
fine job.
go back to edit, when you go
Buy
back
the
to edit, Ralph, when you cut to your crotch cam, you've got to add in what an amazing Schwanstucker.
Yeah. Add in woof. Add in woof.
And Wolf,
Oh.
yeah.
Are you directing me now? Now you're directing me. I got it. Okay. 100% you directing Ralph.
One other suggestion, Ralph. Before you
boy.
do more trivia, you've got to get buzzers for everybody or something.
This is a Zoom thing. This is how we do it. I don't know. Come on. Come on.
It's gonna be all right.
More buzzers.
Al's
More
got a buzz
buzzers.
going.
Drew, anything? Drew, you have anything you want to add? Drew, you have an idea? Give me an idea. Come on, another one. Come on.
The only thing I would say is don't read anything about mud before you see it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
just go in blind. If you haven't read anything about it, just see it.
It's on Netflix?
I believe it's on Netflix.
Okay.
Hey, Drew.
A bunch of services for rent, but I believe it's
Hey,
on that.
Has anybody watched that film Sputnik on
No,
that
not yet.
film, Sputnik?
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
What do you recommend it?
You know, they're trying to push it like it's a new Alien.
Right.
It is, but it isn't. It's good. It's not like what I was expecting. But it's got all kinds of psychological shit going on there. So I think it would be pretty interesting. I just don't.
Like this podcast.
Oh,
Psychological stuff doesn't work for me.
We watched over the weekend. You guys have probably all seen it because you think Baby Driver.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I saw that.
Love that movie.
It was great.
Yeah.
Very well
I
edited.
like that movie a lot.
That's all about the editing in that movie for sure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
The way
And
he
then we
cuts the
watched
music.
Hot Fuzz because we had never
I like
seen
Hot
that
Fuzz,
one.
too.
Oh, that's a fun movie.
Oh.
That whole trilogy. What is it? Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, And then the world at the end,
whatever.
end of the world.
At World's End, yeah.
World's End.
World's End.
At World's End?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Drew, have you seen Martyrs?
I think that movie is awesome.
Thank you.
I never saw the remake because I only have so much time.
The remake is garbage.
Don't see the remake.
But Martyrs, I actually own that movie, but I don't know if I'll ever watch it again.
That's the thing with that movie. You can only watch it once.
But it's
Really?
incredible.
It's a good movie. It's
Hey,
a
Michael
well
and John, we're kind of going stream of consciousness. Do you guys want to add anything? I feel like we've brought you in and we really haven't utilized you guys.
Michael, why don't you tell us your podcast? I'll see if I can slip it into the show somehow.
Oh, okay. It's Foul Players Radio, FOWL Players Radio. It's a podcast started in the Baltimore area and Baltimore, D.C., and it's kind of branched out, and I've gotten a number of other people from New York. I've got some people on Broadway. It was supposed to be like Baltimore and that region's arts, entertainment, and pop culture, and it's kind of branched out to Philly, D.C., Virginia, West Virginia, New Jersey, New York, and then I've had some folks, from Hollywood on, and basically I just like to talk about people's stories, and it's something for people to listen to. It's about arts, like I said, arts, entertainment, and pop culture. I've had Michelle on a few times to talk about her book and to talk about just her comedy and some events that she's been involved in.
Yeah, I've been on your podcast a lot. Well,
let me pitch an idea. How about a podcast about people who do podcasts? Mm-hmm. A hobby that nobody watches. How about that podcast? I think.
Hey, Ralph, you would like a recent one he did. I can't remember the guy's name.
You're the one. That's where the recommendation came from. The Jaws one.
Jaws.
Yeah.
He got a guy who was a little kid on Jaws.
Yeah, he was the. I guess his mother was the woman who played Kittner's mother.
David Bigelow. That was his teacher. Mrs.
His teacher.
Lee Fierro, right. But he was in the scene where Alex Kittner got eaten, and then everybody comes running out of the ocean, and he's putting together a docudrama about the making of Jaws, a 6-episode docudrama, as well as he and a group of people are rebuilding a replica of the Orca. That's actually like a Nova Scotian lobster boat.
Oh, wow.
That they had used, and they're rebuilding it, but instead of being used for hunting sharks, it's going to be used for teaching about sharks and conservation, and that kind of thing. So that's the main thing I've got going right now. So it's Foul Players of Perryville is my murder mystery group, but Foul Players Radio is the podcast, and it can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Castro, Castbox, iHeartRadio,
all of them,
and foulplayersradio.buzzsprout.com.
Can I ask you a question? Has Sean Murphy ever been on your show? He's an author from Baltimore. Has he ever been on?
And a screenwriter of 14 features.
Wow.
Sure, Sean. Let's connect. I'd love to have you.
Thank you.
Hey, Michael, if you ever do a review of Young Frankenstein, I'd love to be on him.
Okay.
Might have more fun than this one with Ralph.
Hang on a second.
I thought we were talking
the hell? Where did that? I don't know where that comes. I don't know where all this comes from. But you know what? I'll deal.
It comes from our genuine love for you.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds
like. Not too long ago, I had on an author. His name is Greg Mank, and he's written books about. He wrote one most recently about Colin Clive, who played Dr. Frankenstein, and he goes into exhaustive detail in his books. And he's also written other books about Bela Lugosi and Karloff. I think it was called Lugosi and Karloff, where he interviewed their families.
Wow.
He went out to Hollywood and met Lugosi's, I guess, remaining relatives and Boris Karloff's, and he even interviewed the little girl from Frankenstein.
Wow.
That got thrown in the water. And I'll tell
Really?
you, I'll tell you a quick, interesting story about her. She lived kind of a tough life because she was adopted by her mother her mother went in and looking for the most beautiful blonde-haired baby at the orphanage, and for the purpose of putting her into movies. And funny. And if she went to an audition and didn't get the part, she would get spanked and beaten.
Oh my God!
So she made friends with Boris Karloff on the set of Frankenstein, and there was the part where he threw her in the water. Well, it didn't quite film right, and they wanted to do it over again, but it was kind of tough on the little girl. So the director went over and said, look, I'll tell you what, we have to do the scene again, and if you do it again, I will buy you anything you want. Okay, so he was thinking a bike, a puppy. She asked for a dozen hard-boiled eggs. And he said, why do you want a dozen hard-boiled eggs? And she said, my mother won't let me eat eggs because she says they make me fat, so I want to have a dozen hard-boiled eggs.
Jesus.
And then the mother got a hold of her and said, it really got into her and said, you know, we could have had all kinds of money. You could have had a bike. I could have had a car. And you asked for those damn eggs. And so I do have an episode with him, and I'm going to have him on again soon, too. But he's an expert like on old Hollywood. He's from Baltimore. He's a Loyola guy. He went to Loyola High School and taught at Northwestern High School for a number of years. So, yeah.
Wow.
John, do you have a podcast or anything? John? Yeah, you. The only other John.
No, this is probably my first time and my last time because I'm sure
it's definitely your last time on this one.
Oh,
you did that yourself. It had nothing to do with your performance. It's just your, what am I going to do?
I'll tell you what, would any of you like to come on mine to cross-promote?
Yes, what? Yeah. Sign me up.
Okay, Michelle, can you cross contact information?
It depends how nice people are to me now.
I can't, Roger, I can't change. I'm sorry. I can't.
Rosso.
I'm out, but I would love to cross-pollinate on another podcast.
Mike, do you ever do trivia?
Oh my God.
I'm done. Listen, I'm done innovating. I'm done. It's just going to be what it is.
Oh, stop. But it was okay for you to say, we'll be on at 6:30 or whenever Wojo shows up. And I know you're kidding. Of course, it didn't me in the response, but, you know, you were kidding.
No, that wasn't joking. That was serious.
Wojo, the time that you show up is like a trivia question.
Well,
you know what? Last one in, first one out, buddy. Keep it up.
All right, guys.
Hey,
listen,
it was nice seeing everybody.
All right.
John, Michael, pleasure meeting you guys.
Nice to meet you guys.
I enjoyed it.